First and foremost, congratulations on your Emmy nomination. It's really
Thank
exciting. And congratulations on Dope Thief. I found it to be a very moving show.
thank
Um,
you.
yeah, and looking over your career timeline, your first credit was an episode of Law and Order back in 2009, and then Atlanta started in 2016, and then your first Emmy nomination came the year after from This Is Us. I'm curious if there was a job before Atlanta that made you notice a shift in your career was coming, and if it wasn't a job, what was it?
It's very interesting because right after that Law and Order, I did a series called The Good Wife,
Mhm.
where it was my first guest star role, you know what I mean? And so I remember taking this episode because, like, The Good Wife is based on, cases. So there's a case every episode. And I think this was the second season of Good Wife. And I realized that I have no clue what I'm doing. I was like, I hadn't been in front of the camera enough. I'm coming on to a series that has its own kind of rhythm, you know what I mean? Like everyone in the cast has their own thing. And so when you're joining as a guest star to a series, you're trying to kind of find the rhythm of what that series is asking for. And boy, I didn't know anything. I didn't know. It's just like what, but I remember taking that and really realizing the power that I had at character development because I was like, well, at the end of the day, like, you know how to build character, you know how, what to do when story is involved. You just got to remember that there's cameras there and cameras capture everything. So maybe you have to do less. Maybe you do a little bit more here. Maybe you don't be, this isn't so precious here. And it just cracked me open. Like after that, I was just like, well, I've humiliated myself so much, much at this point with the choices I made in this show. Like you just got to go full tilt boogie. And I remember leaving that set. Not that I felt like anyone was making me feel like I didn't make good choices, but I released this need and control of wanting everything to be right. Right. Like I think that was the thing. I think I was like 27 at the time, I believe. And I just remember just leaving the set being like, okay, well, that happened. All right. Like, it's just like, let that go. And I think that that's what really helped me when it came time to audition for Atlanta. Just go in with a certain kind of confidence of myself as an actor to just build a character and make these choices, and I never look back.
Yeah, and you had 10 projects come out in 2018 alone, like Widows, Beale Street Could Talk, Spider-Verse, Atlanta Season 2 all came out that year, to name a few. And you got your second consecutive Emmy nomination that year as well. So obviously that meant you had a really busy schedule leading up to 2018. So it's hard to see how your life's changing in the moment when it's happening. But did being so booked and busy help you realize while it was happening, oh, I've made it?
No,
Really?
not at all. Because I don't think at that time I had allowed myself the breath and the space to take it in. So
Mm.
for me, I was literally leaving one character, jumping into another. It's so funny you bring that up because I've decided to go back in my old journals because I try to journal as often as I can when I'm going through this event that is my life. I'm always like, I really want to make sure. And I put them on the shelf. Like I just had not read them. And so I pulled one journal down that went all the way back to 2018. And I was just like, what? Like, I was like, I already, and it's so funny you say that because I literally wrote, hey, fool, you have 7 movies coming out right now. You have 7 movies. Are you hydrated? Are you drinking enough water? What are you feeling? Take the time to really be grateful about what's going on. And I remember there was one moment that just felt so out of body. There was one moment in 2019 where I was in London filming Eternals, but then 3 movies that I already filmed needed to reshoot me. And so I literally would land in London, shoot for a week, leave, and then the first one was like doing a reshoot for Godzilla versus Kong, then come back. Then I leave and do a reshoot for the end of Child's Play. Then I leave and come back and do a reshoot for Woman in the Window. And I was like, what was that? Like, but you don't think about it. And mind you, these reshoots were reflections of them wanting more of my character or more of like me in the story, which I never even took consideration. At one point, I used to call myself the reshoot king because I was just like, what is going, why am I? But, it's so interesting sitting here now in 2025, looking back on this, which was only 7 years ago, like not even 6 years ago. But when you're in it, you don't know. Like for me, it helped to just not keep track of it. It helped me to just really like just move in it, be a part of it, do it. But now sitting there reading the journal, I was like, that is wild. Like you're a wild person to do that. But I'm grateful. Like at the end of the day, I'm really grateful. I also must have looked like a sociopath, like being different characters. Like, because there were times I go back and I was like, who am I? Where's my voice on this one? Who? But that's exciting. Like that is the exciting part about doing what I do because like you get to abandon certain things. You try it, you abandon it, you come back and find other things. You have to constantly be in a state of ebb and flow. But now it's really important because I feel like I have a say in the things that I want to choose and do. I get to really like make surgical precision of how I want to give my time to what characters and to what project rather than being like, give it all, I'll take it all, like give so that has been the greatest progression for me to watch is just to find the specificity now of how I want to showcase myself.
That's funny you called yourself the reshoot king because on Dope Thief you previously said that Ridley Scott filming the first episode with like minimum of 6 cameras at a time and not knowing where those cameras are, like it means that there's a lot of takes and you don't do a lot of takes because
I'll
there's
do a
no
lot of things.
cameras, right? So,
Yeah.
given your theater background, why do you think that treating TV as theater, as you previously described it with this Ridley Scott method, why do you think that improves a TV story?
It's so interesting because I used to be of the mind that any actor can do theater. Like I just used to think that I really and you find out that not every actor wants to do it because theater's hard. Like it is really hard to memorize a book, really go through emotional journeys from beginning to end in front of a live audience. That's not an easy thing to do. But you also have to surrender more on stage than you do on TV and film because you get breaks on TV and film. You get takes, you get to go to your trailer and think about things. But like once the curtain's up on the stage, the curtain's up, homie. Like that's it. Like there's no, I think I don't want to do it today. Like you can't in the middle of act one be like, okay, I'm tired. Can somebody, you can't, you have to commit. So it's a surrender that you have to do. And I try to keep that mindset all the time when I join a set. Like I'm always trying to really keep in mind that this is such a luxury to be able to work with crews of this capacity and skill that we are all pretty much committing to come and play make believe for however many weeks to build this story. You also have to suspend imagination in ways that you don't necessarily have to do on stage. Like, there is a fourth wall on stage, but like in TV and film, like there's so many other things you have to think. Sometimes you're shooting out of order. Sometimes you're block shooting, which I did a lot on Atlanta, where you're shooting one episode one day and shooting the next episode this day, which I loved. Like I loved it because it kept that engine activated. But I think when it comes to translating stage to the screen, you really get to explore the smallness of you. I know it sounds crazy, but you get to really like you're thinking about intimacy a bit more. Whereas in theater, you're trying to hit that person in the back, right? Who may be sitting behind that pillar where their view is obstructed and they don't know but when you're doing the screen, every little thing really counts to this character's development, to the story. Like how you scratch your face, how you breathe, how often are you blinking? Like, all these things. And that is exciting to me that because like screen really doesn't give you anywhere to hide. Like you have nowhere to hide. Also, you are at the mercy of a lot of things, right? You're at the mercy of so many different things, be it the edit, be it the score, be it costumes, be it the environment. Like I always laugh when you do theater, you kind of know what the set's going to be. But like on Dope Thief, for example, there are scenes we're shooting out in Ottsville, Pennsylvania in this rundown, decrepit house. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So that third step, I could probably die. Okay. All right. Well, okay. So there's syringes here. Okay. All right, cool. And that's the first day. And but I love that, man. It's like such a fun house of things to go in and discover and play. It stays fresh every time. So I just think the ability to surrender is a big thing that I try to bring from stage to TV because people can tell if you're phoning it in. People can tell if you're not connected. People can feel it, and I don't ever want any viewer of anything that I do to feel like I'm phoning it in, to feel like they can't um, associate with who I'm playing or feel for him. Like I always want people to be yelling at me Like when they're watching the stuff I'm in, either yelling at me because they're so happy and I'm making them laugh, or there's joy, or they're just like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? Because then there's a connection. So I'm always just thinking about that. I'm always trying to make sure that the viewer feels like I have them in mind. And, I think that definitely is something that translates from theater.
Yeah, and I think that fans definitely get that from you because everything I've seen about your performance just in Dope Thief on social media, people are very like, he is locked in, you know? So I think that's, you definitely accomplished that.
Right.
I'm glad that you bring up the subject of how cameras don't let you hide.
Mm,
This look that Ray has on his face in the scene where he's first meeting Michelle early in the season, and she's saying, "Oh, you love him." And she's talking about Ray's father, who she's trying to help get out of prison. But Ray is having this moment of emotional overwhelm where he can't find Manny. He's worried
right,
about it, right? And
right,
there's
right.
this look on your face. I don't know if you in your eyes. I don't know if you can remember it, but there's a look in your eyes that you give to Michelle in this moment that I think speaks volumes. If
Thank
you
you.
can remember it, yeah, can you define what that look was for me? Because I have my own thoughts about it that I want to get into
I
next.
would love to know your thoughts too. It's interesting that scene. I remember this is also a testimony to writing. Writers are some of my favorite people. And because I'm like, boy, talk about schizophrenia at its finest. Like you have like living with these universes in your brain and surrendering these words to these actors that you just agree that you think they're gonna do. And Peter Craig is a master to me. Like I like to read a Peter Craig script is just so decadent and so fun because it's like, well, what's going to come out of me? I have no clue. And so when it came to this particular episode where you have had Ray running around, I think this is the first time. I mean, there's so many kills that happen, and this one he'd been almost killed twice. He knows that Manny is using again. The voice has found out where he lives. He's got to do all these things. He's running, like he's nonstop running, and this is the first scene where he actually gets to sit down. Like someone is actually showing him compassion. And he is going into this office. And I remember another example of a set. I remember going into this Philly brownstone. I was like, what the it was so crazy. And that brownstone is actually a law office. It's a real office, law office of one of the biggest criminal attorneys in Philly. But here's this tender person. Like here she is on the stoop. After I've made this attempt to my friend in my mind, my friend's dead. My friend's gone. And we go in, and it's the first time that you don't have a lot of score. You don't have all the lighting is very warm and inviting. And she asks me for something. She's like, "Do you want anything?" And I'm just like, "Wow, like yeah, a glass of water, please." And so now I'm sitting there with I think we've all had those moments where we sit in silence with some of the decisions we've made, and it feels like it is all like just crumbling down. And I just remember Peter writing Ray sits and has an emotional meltdown, like has a break and he starts sobbing. And I was like, yeah, this track. So, I sat there and I'm just crying and having all these moments of like everyone's dead. I killed Marletta, like my mom is gone. Like all these things were flooding through. And then she comes with this glass of water. Um, and she's talking all this stuff about compassionate release. Like all these things are going on, and I really think that she's talking about Manny. And she sits down next to me, and because like she's saying these things of like, you know, you're a good man. And I'm like, I'm like through my tears, like she's like, oh my God. There's a moment though that I can't believe that they kept, but like she touches my arm and I look and then I immediately just grace it again because I was like, no one has touched me. I don't know the last time I've been touched. I don't know the last time I've cried in front of anybody. I don't know the last time I have no clue when the last time Ray has done any of this, but it is all pouring out and there's nothing. And she touches me and I just instinctively just like went like that because I wanted to hold on to that feeling. So everything that was going on in that scene was just a reflection of of a yearning that Ray had. And that look was truly like, oh, how wrong she is. Like, oh, if she only knew what I just did, like, thank you, but absolutely not. Like, this is all my fault. Like, I can't believe you said that. And I think it was just, I don't know, it was beautiful to film. It was really hard. I told JVT, our director, Jonathan Van Tulleken, I was like, I think I only got about 3 of these. I don't know how many I can do. I'm scared of how long this could possibly go for Ray, but I knew that Ray needed it. I was like, Ray needs to let this out. Like, and then when he finds out it's actually about his father, you see him absolutely turn and like things are funnier now. And he's just like, oh my God, like, are you kidding me? Like, okay, compassion, a compassionate release. And then the ringtone happens. Like, then this whole thing that's been like dreading over him about like, I know this song. What is this? But I think that whole scene was just about intimacy and somebody actually taking care of Ray and not the other way around, and him feeling safe and him being somewhere warm and him drinking a glass of water. But like, where's my friend, you know? And so it was fun to do that. It was really fun to do that scene and to do it with such an amazing scene partner like Nesta Cooper, who is just like phenomenal. Like she's just showing so much tenderness in that scene with this man who is covered in gunpowder and residue and dry blood, and like she's just like there. So it was a scene that I felt actually showed Ray that love was possible, and that care was possible.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad that you say that too, because in the scene with Manny later in the season with the grenade in the car, he says, "You don't even know what love is anymore, man." And I think that he's wrong about that. I think that Manny can't see how deeply Ray loves. And I
Right.
think that really pains Ray. I think that he
Oh,
feels that the world can't see how deep he feels for the people that he cares about. So,
right.
what is your take on that? Why do you think that people can't see that in Ray?
Well, it's also about his examples of what love was in
Mhm.
his life, right? Like his example of love was watching his mom shoot up in the bathroom. Like, you know, his father having parties, his father abandoning him, he had this adoptive mother who, you know, he's only used to the examples he saw. And I think that the first experience of real love he had was with Marletta, you know, when he was 17 years old, like that. And then in that love, he lost it by something he did. So now you have a man who doesn't feel like he deserves to be loved at all because everything he's loved has been taken away from him. And so you have this kind of you know, that was something I wanted to keep in mind while playing Raised, that like he is the most lovable, but he doesn't feel loved in any way because he feels like anytime someone loves him, it is taken away from him or he will do something to completely mess it up. And the truest love that he's ever really experienced was this love with Manny as well, because now you know, there's a scene where you see this flashback of me going on this bus after I've been injured in this car accident, which you know, took the life of one of my first loves. And, you know, I'm sure that Ray really battered himself about that. I'm sure that Ray felt he deserved everything that was coming to him. I'm sure that is a big part that kept him in his addiction. You know, there's so many things that could have made Ray so angry, but that just wasn't a part of who he was. And so he sits down next to this kid. And this kid starts drawing on his cast. Like I don't know what other sign you need to show love and intimacy than somebody drawing on your cast, right? Like I was like, that's so interesting. And my other thing was like, how did he smuggle this pen in? Like, I just remember thinking that I was like, that's Manny. I was like, and there's Manny. How did he get this contraband onto this bus? And now he's also drawing this thing on my arm, which you later see that Ray got tattooed onto him. Like it was tattooed onto him, this bird. And that was love. And so I think that Ray's quest was always to find a way to be loved and to really believe that he was worthy of being loved. And then you have this wonderful woman, Teresa, who is the embodiment of love. She didn't have to take Ray in. This white woman raising this black kid and feel like, what are you talking about? Like, what is it like for her to take me to the grocery store? Was it like for her to like drop me off at school? How many times have people like questioned her and challenged her about like, why are you with this kid? But she loves him. Like I mean, there's no other like that is such a deep love. But yeah, I think that Ray's journey, um, for love always had to feel like it came with such high stakes, right? Like there's some people are like, well, if you love me, you know, go do this for me. If you love me, then you would. And I think that Ray was kind of in that zone. Like when he's sitting back there and Manny pulls the pin on a grenade, the first thing he does is jump in and grab it. Like I'm just like, like what do you like? What do you mean? And then for Manny to still say you don't love anybody, I remember thinking I was like he must have heard this a million times. And even Ray goes, that's true. All of that's true. Whatever you need to get fine. But until then, give me the pen. You know what I mean? And I think that that is how Ray has always been. Like, whatever it is that you believe, you think of me, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. But maybe I can show you better than I can tell you how I love you. Because I think that Ray suffered from feeling like he was an inconvenience to people. I think that he always thought that every choice he made, you know, unfortunately led him to the path that he was on. And after a while, I'm pretty sure that he believed that he didn't deserve to be loved. And so you're kind of watching an entire season of this man doing everything he can to be a caretaker to other people's emotions and to really feel like, he deserved what he was getting all the time, like every single time. But I really understood that, to be honest with you. Brian, too, have been in that position. I have absolutely felt the way that Ray has. I've absolutely been shocked by tenderness from people when I was at my lowest. I've been very much that person. So that's why playing Ray was so important to me because I knew that I had done the work to lay that guy down, like to just really like give myself resolve, give myself grace to it. That when I saw Ray, I was like, oh, I think I know how to get him out of this. I was like, I think I know exactly how to get Ray out of this because he deserves it. And that was something that was very important. When I read this character, I really wanted him to make it to the other side and for him to really believe that he deserved to be loved.
Yeah, and I think that makes you the perfect person to play this character because you see that script, you see his story, and you're like, I can do this. I can take care of this character. They're like precious things to us. We have
Yeah.
to take care of them.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Well, Brian, this has been so great. Thank you so much. We went a little over, so I'll end it there. But congratulations again on your Emmy nomination. And yeah,
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thanks so
yeah.
much.
Have a great rest of your day.